Good evening. Good evening. Welcome everyone to another week of fun, fantastic, exciting guest conversation. My name is Kimberly Winborn. I am the host of the Collaboration Culture podcast. And today I am joined by Shemekka Ebony. Please be sure to go ahead and share out this broadcast. Invite other entrepreneurs as well as those who are seeking professional development, career development. This is going to be one of those types of shows where we're going to talk about community, we're going to talk about collaboration, but we are going to full circle also talk about leadership as well as
Mhm.
strategy. And I'm really excited because we have the perfect person for that in this fourth quarter success series. I want to share with you really quickly before I introduce this amazing beauty. I want to share with you guys really quickly why I wanted to focus on the fourth quarter success for
Mhm.
all of us, because how many people can relate to getting burnt out at the end of the year, a bit unmotivated, trying to figure out how to maneuver into 2023 when you barely making it in 2022 or whatever year that's appropriate.
Mhm.
And as an entrepreneur of over 20 years, I've experienced that. You get to the holidays and you're not as productive as you know that you should be, and you have all these great
Mhm.
ideas and don't execute one. Well, if we have people who can help us to overcome those challenges and hurdles based on their experiences, then we can be successful. So that's what this show is all about. So I want you to grab someone and invite them. First of all, like, tag, share, all that good stuff. I actually love tag and share. But please invite someone for to this conversation. So I want to introduce to you Shemekka Ebony. I want to introduce you to her with my own personal bio, and then I'll get her to share with you a little bit about the amazing things that she does. My own personal bio is that she is a person who I sync with so very well. We have amazing synergy. We have a lot in common in the place of heart and business running together. And so I was very impressed with her and have been for years. And I had her husband on a couple months ago, a few months ago. It was so much fun. And I could not wait to have her. I think I've been trying to grab her for a little bit longer than that. And so, so we finally got her on the show. So welcome, Shemekka. Please tell everyone a little bit about yourself and in your own words.
Thank you so much, Kimberly, for allowing me to have space and share with you. I honor and celebrate your entrepreneurship journey. I've seen you in community for years, and it's been beautiful to see you excel
Thank
and
you.
ascend and break barriers when it comes to collaboration. So, thank you for going against the narrative. If I were to say anything, my first thing is I am a country girl from Kinston, North Carolina, that is passionate about creating change opportunities for others. And my calling is into the hedges and highways, and God has put me on assignment to remind people of who they are and what their
Yeah.
capacity is. And I've had the honor of walking in community and partnership with my husband in community, sharing business initiatives together and having our own independent businesses. And so, on top of all that, being a mother of a group called the Brilliant Bunch, that's six of us, illuminating and changing, creating change, not only in family, but in community and company.
I love
Thank
that. I love that.
you.
Say the name again. The what
The
bunch?
Brilliant Bunch, the
The
Brilliant
Brilliant
Bunch.
Bunch. I like the Brady Bunch. I love that.
Yes.
Oh Lord, I just did something with my screen, but you can still see me, okay? Right?
Yes, I can see that
Okay,
beautiful
awesome.
smile.
Thank you. Yeah, I just did something with my I guess it's something I didn't know I could do with my Mac. But anyway, so I'm so excited to have you and the Brilliant Bunch. And let's start off by talking about I Am Brilliant, because as I said before, we had your husband on, and I am most familiar with I Am Brilliant because it's been out here the longest, right? Now,
Yes.
it's in my opinion, and from what I know, now I'm also familiar with the other entity, Black Girl Magic market, because of the conversations that we've recently had. But I want to talk about I Am Brilliant for just a moment. If you could explain in your own words about what that's all about, how people would want to connect to that, and anything else you want to add.
Lee, what Makes You Brilliant began as a community campaign to amplify ways that we already are illuminating and showing our gifts. And I Am Brilliant was birthed out of that when I was actually doing intentional living in
Hmm.
Southeast Raleigh, working with AmeriCorps Vista. I began with doing community events that started as a radio show, which was Sunday Stack. So I had a heavy Raleigh Durham presence, doing events there and collaborating. And I Am Brilliant was our photo campaign launch to kind of reaffirm who we are and remind us what's in us. Because if we look at the word brilliant, it really means illuminous. And that means
Yeah,
illuminate. Like we all have capacity to illuminate. If we just get the dust off, remove fear and doubt, and change that mindset, we can illuminate and create the change we want to see. So I Am
yeah.
Brilliant was birthed out of that. And then Black Girl Magic Market came out of the activation of, well, what can we do in economics? And then Crown Campaign came in, what can we do with civic engagement? But it all came out from under the umbrella of I Am Brilliant.
Yeah. And so I Am Brilliant. So last time I had some, like, a picture of me holding up the sign, but I Am Brilliant is also one of the things I talked with Michael about, an affirmation that really gives people power by just saying out loud, like, oh, I am brilliant.org. It gives a person power because of the fact that they're speaking
Mhm.
life even when they don't realize it, right? And I love
Absolutely.
that. So can you tell me a little bit of the affirmation side of it, the personal development and leadership side behind the name?
Absolutely. We have been conditioned in society to find our errors, find
Mhm.
things that are wrong with us, and sometimes we sit in that a little too young and long. And I Am Brilliant was a reminder. It was a call to action. It was an affirmation that bypassed logic and reasoning. It bypassed people's insecurities. It bypassed people's judgment and self-condemnation just
Yeah.
to say it. And then
Yeah.
figuring out why is that step further to make their own light bulb go off. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter about what we see because we can tell them all day. But until that light bulb comes on for them, that they can grab hold and illuminate for themselves.
And I love that because to your point, a lot of times people don't have that. They don't have that, but having access to it, we all have. But do we tap into it? Not necessarily, but it's sort of like you see people's faces evolve and change. I'm sure you have. I have, when I've seen people take the picture and just hold up the sign and what it's saying. I don't even know if they pay attention to the fact that it's a website and it's a whole it's sort of like it's sort of like okay, this is a campaign, more so a movement that I now get to be a part of. I am brilliant, and what does my brilliance really mean? What is
Amen.
my unique value? And so that's so significant too. I really love that, and I think I told him the same thing. Like, I really love
Thank
that. Most
you.
people know, like, I love positive affirmation. I love speaking life, and so that's awesome. And then, okay, so then that you started with the I Am Brilliant. You and Michael are doing your thing. And then you said that's the umbrella. And then now you also have Black Girl Magic Market, which I would love for you. We've heard of Black Girl Magic, but can you tell us about Black Girl Magic Market?
Yes, Black Girl Magic Market stemmed from an initiative and engagement to have Black women vendors at an event with the National Coalition of Black Women Rising.
Hmm.
And out of that, when I saw so many women saying, yes, I'll get involved with vending, I wanted to create an access point so that
Yeah.
these women could continue to have this access to economy and building capacity with one another. And so that's where the pop-up vision originated, with going from city to city, partnering with existing events, creating our own events, but creating a convening for the centering of Black women economic equity. Not only
Mm,
did we did it on the front face, but we want to make sure that we collaborated with access to experiences and better resources, and
hmm.
having access to those resources and the readiness to accompany it. So I began the resource hub on the other side of Black Girl Magic Market and working with vendors and entrepreneurs and helping them learn sales training, how to make sure that their business is ready, to make sure your business is registered, making sure you have a CPA and a bank account. So those details that aren't necessarily easily visible accessible and available for the busy
Mhm.
woman that is building a life, family,
Yeah.
and a business. We made it accessible with Black Girl Magic Market to not only share these pop-up existences, but we pour back into those in the community by making available the economic opportunities and financial education.
That's so awesome. Now, how is somebody able to tap into that to be able to get those resources?
All the resources are available to you in digital via the digital library. If you go to blackgirlmagic.market, that takes you to our group that if you once you join that group, you have access to promote your upcoming events, anything you have. These resources of promotion are accessible and available. You can have a digital online magazine with your photos of your items. You
Mhm.
can some women engage in live sales literally in the group. But most importantly, if you look in the pages, the resources, the guides, there's tangible PDF links. There's also links to organizations. You can go in the group and put in hashtag resources or hashtag business or hashtag learning, and you'll see all the links from past things that have happened that are pre recorded as well. And then if you are into videos, if you go to Shemekka Ebony on YouTube, there's a Black Girl Magic Market digital library that has online resources, whether it's videos we've made or videos we partner with NASDAQ Entrepreneurship. 'Cause I'm a mentor with them. So I utilize adding their videos into that circulation so that we make it accessible and free to those that want to build their business capacity.
That's so awesome. And can you repeat that? Because I want to be sure to type that up. You said Shemekka Ebony on YouTube.
Yes.
All right. So you guys want to make sure to get that resource as well. And if you notice, everything is Shemekka Ebony. So let's talk about branding for a second. I know that's a little bit off just a hair, but let's talk about branding for a second as a part of your evolution through to, the success strat or part of the success strategy that built you. Can you share how that journey happened for you? Because I know you're a poet, you have a whole plethora of things that you do. So share that with us.
Been most inspired in on my journey of personal development, I began to understand my value and my worth.
Hmm.
And once that started shifting within myself, then it kind of propelled and challenged other people to shift how they valued and received me. And most importantly, when I came into a greater awareness of what my name meant, I knew that there was a calling attached to it. And so not
Hmm.
only is Shemekka Ebony my name, it is a brand that turns on this really big light for those that connect with the things I've survived, the things I've struggled. I mean, she Mecca, that is a destination, and there's
Hmm.
opportunities that we create through the pathways of me surviving my suffering that I know have been ordained for to make a better pathway for others. And so it's me declaring and standing in my name as my business, orchestrating as such. I get to bring my full self wherever I am unapologetically.
That is so awesome. And you know what? And I have to talk about that for just a second because so many of us are not able to bring our whole full selves into rooms, into platforms, into spaces because we're afraid to really be, for people to really see who we are. And so for you to be able to not only walk in the I am brilliant, but to be able to bring your true authentic self to the table and say, I am Shemekka, I am Shemekka, I am powerful. I think it's a transference as well to others to be able to walk into theirs. And so that's one of the things I really love about you, your energy and your spirit. And so I want to talk a little bit more about all that is Shemekka Ebony because there's a lot to you that is absolutely brilliant. So if you could share all that is well, as much as you can, that is Shemekka Ebony to help us out. Like, hey, help us out. We want to grow in this fourth quarter. We want to walk in a confidence, a brilliance, being our authentic selves. We want to tackle 2023 in a whole new way. How are we able to do that with the skills and the essence of you?
First priority I'd have to say is we have to recenter ourselves with our creator. You know,
Mm.
I can't be any aspect of who I am without acknowledging my relationship with God, my faith, because that is my foundation and my stability, and that's what I'm called
Mhm.
to become is a greater aspect of what people see. They see God in me, and
Yeah.
that's the manifestation of who I am. And that journey came through being in fellowship with suffering and being bitter. And as you can see from the book, While I'm Getting Naked, I had to do my own self care and well being journey to really peel back the layers, not of other people's expectations, but who God had called me to be. And when I translated that into business, I didn't let go one of the other. It became evident to me that in ministry, you have to operate ministry like a business if you want it to be sustainable. And you also have to operate your business as you do ministry and servant leadership, because if you want it to be sustainable and for God to bless it, there has to be that correlation as well. And so it became a journey that, you know, I began to be the forerunner for so many things. You know, I was a divorcee, raising two black boys on my own, trying to figure out my ex-husband was incarcerated before we got divorced. So I was navigating that, being married, operationally looking single, and managing those stressors. So when it came to how I showed up in community, I had to bring my full self for my own sanity. So I was a single mother bringing their kids to community meetings. I was a single mom still fighting and advocating for communities to have access to things that I didn't have. You know,
Mhm.
but my constant recentering and grounding had to be in what God had called me to do. And the more I got more comfortable with my relationship and my nakedness and my
Mhm.
transparency, the less I felt like I had to put on a facade. And the more it gave people in the room around me the freedom to kind of take their own layers off too and become more like a stripper. My pastor said one time, God loves a stripper. And I
Mhm.
said, well, sign me up because I want to tear this stuff off and I don't want to put it back on. And so I've applied
Mhm.
that to my life. And this is
Mhm.
how I've become confident in who I am today because I'm unapologetically a lover of God and I'm unapologetically on assignment.
Yeah, and I love that because that's your foundation, as you said. It helps you to continue to recenter because things will pull at us. I mean, it's just the nature of life. Things pull at you. Things
Yes.
look great and shiny and bright, and they may not be for you. But when you're able to recenter and have that focus that you can pinpoint in on, then
Right.
you're able to remain balanced. You're able to continue to move forward and walk in that. And I really love that. And I think that's a really good point, Shemekka, to really highlight when it comes to our unique value and what we offer. Because so many people are trying to be imposters of what they think others want them to be. And so then we don't show up as our true selves in our businesses, and people can feel that. Or we don't, it's not even about them. We can feel it. Our self begins to sort of like lose bits and pieces over time because we're trying to be somebody else. What is your best advice to someone when they come to you and you can tell after sitting down and speaking with them and what have you, that they're not truly necessarily walking in who they are supposed to be, but who they feel like other people want them to be, along with all of the protective village stuff, the CPA and the business side and the lawyer and all that stuff. What about the personal development side? Are you able to sit down and talk with your folk about?
One of the, I would have to say 100% of the time when I have clients, whether they're PhD level scholars or they're community leaders wanting to build their capacity, the first thing we have to work through is that mindset and
Mm-hmm.
having a shift. I just recently released a video on imposter syndrome and imposter phenomenon and three ways that you can kind of detach from that. And the first thing is kind of acknowledge that if you're in the room, you're supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And if people have placed you in a position of honor or value to hear what you have to say, sometimes that readiness of our acceptance that we're worthy to be in that doesn't meet us in at the same time in the meeting.
Mm,
So we
that's
have to
true.
have a backup plan to be able to recenter ourselves and how we affirm. I am brilliant is that quick go to,
Mm-hmm.
for most immediately shifting to say that and repeat it till you feel that shift within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But most importantly, doing that work and that self care of who told you you were naked? You know, if we
Mhm.
look at it from the scripture, who told you you weren't worthy? Who dealing with those imaginations? And then I also encourage my clients, stop taking ownership of things that are not yours. When you
Mhm.
think about your mindset and these negative self-talks, that's a voice you heard somewhere else that you put your voice to it now because you've listened to it long enough. It's become part of what shuts you down or what causes fear to have more power. And when that fear has power, your excuses get more exercise than you do.
Yeah. And that is so, oh my gosh, that's so true because how many people have you met that fear is driving everything about them? They're afraid to even breathe because of the
Yes.
fact that they might even do that wrong. And, it really limits us. And I want to go back for a second to how you said that you recenter yourself and how powerful that is for you. And then now you're able to share that. And I want to go back to that bit of the conversation because you also talked about community. And so when you meet a woman, a man, whoever, and like we were just talking about, they're not necessarily walking in that, true, authentic space. They're dealing with fear, they're dealing with lack of worth and all of that stuff. Can we talk for a minute about the value of community and how community has helped a lot of your women and a lot of those around you to be strengthened and built up in order to go out here and be successful? Because that's one of the tips that I want to highlight here when it comes to fourth quarter success.
Mhm.
Community is not the enemy. Community actually can help people to this is a part of community right here, us talking and doing this
Yes.
podcast. So can we speak to community and the power of community for just a second, especially though in walking in our true authentic selves?
Community, we identify with community in different layers, and we may be partners with very different types of community. We
Mm-hmm.
have our faith-based community,
Yeah.
we have our business community, we have our sister girl girlfriend community that know, look, they know Kim, you know, you know,
Yeah.
so for example, we have to show up sometimes even within community wearing these hats and layers, and code switching happens inside our culture and our community
Mm.
just as
Mhm.
much it does within a white Eurocentric culture as well. So when we can have some time to sit back to remember who we are, that gives us the opportunity to show how we can show up in our best selves in community.
Yeah.
How community can center and help create that safe space is, there's a scripture that says perfect love casts out fear.
Mhm.
So, with community, perfect love, judgment free, being safe, being vulnerable, and not feeling beat down, those are the kind of community health checks that we get to have, especially as leaders in community, to make sure we're creating the environment not only for the outlier that may be coming through, but for the continuation of us being able to grow and prosper together. That
Yeah.
means being a communion in sickness and in health. That's not just for a marriage, that's for any relationship we're showing up for. So when
Mhm.
we see people, members in our community that are not doing well, whether it's mental health, whether it's racial equity, we have to identify how our superpowers or our brilliance can illuminate a pathway of what's possible for their well being, even if that means helping a person identify their well being. So when you look at your business and how it can grow, your business needs clientele, which is a customer community. And if you
Mhm.
don't meaningfully engage your customer community, you can't really just keep giving them what you think they want
Mhm.
because they're not going to stay. That's not a sustainable practice. But when you look at growth and vulnerability and leaning into your community or your clients as part of your practice, then that is going to help fuel what your next bright idea is because it's fueled by people that want to draw that out of you.
Yeah, that's so good. And so that leads me to asking about the Black Girl Magic Market because of the fact that you're doing that in that community by also helping people to make money. And so let's talk about the value of making of community to making money. In the Black Girl Magic Marker, in the Black Girl Magic Market, people are vending, people are able to get resources, but also ideas from other people within the group. And so I want to pinpoint really quickly the power of community to sales and making money because somebody may have an idea that you can just grab that you didn't have to pay a coach thousands of dollars for, and you can implement
Right.
that into your business. But when we remain in our silos and just trying to pull up trees and do everything ourselves, then we miss those opportunities. And so I want to highlight that a community and getting into groups like the Black Girl Magic Market are going to be significant to your growth. And so that's something we could do today. We still
Yeah.
have 2.5 months left in the year. By joining a community, that can help increase your sales, a free community at that, without
Yeah.
having to break the bank. So, did you want to add anything to what I just said?
Absolutely. I want to also speak to those that are self-funders or philanthropic.
Yeah.
We're the first partakers. We're investing in ourselves. Don't belittle those parts of your beginning. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you aren't your own first investor, who else would want to if people can't see you willing to take your own risk?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so when you think about community, especially within our community, when we have challenges getting support from friends and family,
Mm-hmm.
we want to find a grant to just pay for us to start, but we
Mm-hmm.
don't want to take our own risk. But that means you don't know much about the market and commerce. So that's a learning opportunity. So I would say go get some support. If there's a successful business owner around you, don't be ashamed or embarrassed to say, hey, I want to know how you're doing it.
Yeah.
Within Black Girl Magic Market, there's tons of national connections with Verizon Digital Library of access to resources. You have also access to resources through Black Girl Magic Market that'll get you a digital magazine full of organizations that are available. They're getting paid to help us. We just got to show up and take that free help that's available so that we can really boost. But don't discredit your own investment because that's primary in your success and you taking your seed and your faith and investing.
Yeah. And sometimes the investment is just time too. So that's one of the things I want to pinpoint there, because you talk about free resources, but sometimes we have free resources, but we don't take the time to sit down and go through the forms, the applications, the different things like that in order to gain access to those resources. And so that's one of the other things that I want to pinpoint as we talk about fourth quarter success. Guys, we got to take the time to put into
Yes.
our success. There are lots of there
Mm.
are lots of resources out there, but some maybe over the holidays or a weekend, or and I'm going to give Shemekka the strategy hat right on back in just a second. But we got to take the time to say, hey, okay, she just told me that over at Black Girl Magic Market and in her lane there are a bunch of free resources. Let me go over there and let me find out, and let me take the time to do that in my busy schedule, and then also sit down and fill out the applications, find out more about what else I need to know in my specific arena in order to grow and gain access to this grant money, et cetera, et cetera. And so, how did you want to speak to that at all, Shemekka, as far as investing
Absolutely.
time along with money?
Yes, your time is one of the talents that we oftentimes sometimes misdirect in
Yeah.
what we prioritize. And if you want to do something different, if you want to see different results, then you're going to have to adjust your time and reallocate it. It may mean you fast from Netflix and fast unto investing in watching these videos.
Hmm.
It is going to come with a sacrifice, but we give our valuable time to things that don't give us anything back. We don't understand the power of reciprocity. We'll
Yeah.
give these social media platforms, we'll give Netflix a whole weekend, but we
Hmm.
won't care about and value ourselves enough to be committed to shifting our normal behavior and investing in our future.
Yeah, absolutely. And we so can, because like we're talking about,
Yeah.
we are brilliant, and as I always say, we are born to win. And so let's talk a bit about strategy. Let's talk a bit about strategy. I've had a couple different guests on since I started back up in October 4th, and we've been talking about strategy and how significant strategy is to our day-to-day success, but then also our weekly,
Mhm.
monthly, annual, and then so forth and so on success. So, how significant is strategy to your business, and what component and level of strategy are you sitting and speaking with clients about in order to support their success?
That is so good. I know everyone has possibly heard if you don't plan, then you plan to fail.
Hmm.
So my personal practices that I often share with my clients is that by fourth quarter, which is what we're in now, I'm thinking about first and second quarter already. I
Yeah.
am planning, setting goals. I'm constantly in a posture of being ahead because if you just stay afloat and follow this calendar like everyone else, you're going to be behind like everyone
Mhm.
else. And if you want to be innovative and cutting edge, you have to stay ahead. Another
Absolutely.
personal practice is that my new year starts December 1st.
Mhm.
So everything I plan to imply in the first quarter, I practice it in December to make it more habitual for me to align with what I want,
That's good.
faith and works. And so
Mhm.
this way you see where you need to pivot. I don't believe in failure. I just think that's an acronym that says first attempt in learning. But
Mhm.
if you get stuck there too long, you don't give yourself the opportunity to keep moving forward and learning forward. And
Mhm.
so when we find these things that we want to achieve, then create strategy, use goals, hold yourself accountable, or find someone like a leadership coach like myself that is going to hold you accountable to meeting these goals, but also illuminate what you're doing great. Because it's not about tearing you down, it's about saying, okay, this is what you naturally focus on. Let's see how we can build capacity with what you naturally do before we
Mm.
give you assignments to learn something new.
Yeah, I love what you just said, and I'm gonna put that comment up so that I can highlight it. Failure, first attempt at learning, and so I like that. So first of all, I love acronyms, but second of all, it's so powerful because we hear the saying, "Failure way to success," right? And people do not want
Mhm.
to hear that. Nobody wants to fail. I mean, it's just the truth. Somebody could tell you all day, "Oh, it's just a part of learning. It's just a part of winning. It's just trust the process." But in the end, all we could do is just say, "Okay," but nobody really wants to fail, right? We don't.
Right.
But it is a part of the process. But I love how you gave it power, however. First attempt in learning is that fail. I love that. So I was over here like,
Absolutely.
let me type that up and so we can
No,
put that up.
we try it, right? We
Yeah.
don't give ourselves enough grace to keep trying
Yeah.
because we are emulating the success story of the counterparts that are put in front of us with their narrative. But oftentimes the narrative isn't shared about how much you got lost in translation, how much didn't work. And if we would be more excited about talking about our failures, we won't see other people that look like us failing in the same ways we did. Like
Yeah.
we can't be competitive against one another. And
Yeah.
so we have to have these failure parties to get our mindset shifted so that we can achieve the goals by practicing until we find what works for us.
Absolutely. And so that leads me to collaboration. And that couples for me with leadership because you're talking about, and Mona mentioned the word reciprocity is a word that she's heard twice today. And reciprocity is a lifestyle, I believe, for all
Oh,
of
yeah.
us to live like, like we should put that on a t-shirt. Like reciprocity is a lifestyle. And so we got to be giving so that we can be receiving. We got to be
Amen.
consistently. And so in when it comes to collaboration, the one of the things that I know that I've been challenged in, you're always challenged in the thing that you're supposed to do, focus on, be, right? So I know I've been challenged in that space because I've been so hungry to do it well, get it right, and show that we can do that because like you just said a moment ago, a lot of times people are looking at other folks and they want that support, they want that help, but they don't want to ask because that one person that they asked however long ago wouldn't give them any information, right? And a lot of people have that sort of mindset that they're just not going to share information because of the fact that you're going to take it and run. And it is true that people have taken people's property
Ideas.
and run,
Yeah.
but there's a difference, and so that goes back to that protective village, which is that uh, copyright attorney and trademark attorney that's going to help you to get that stuff right. But when it comes to
Mhm.
collaboration, that's a bit different than having to go down that path because you're taking everything that shores with you and vice versa. So I had to learn how to do that the right way. So let's speak to collaboration just a little bit and how that is significant, and how leadership plays a big role in being able to do that successfully, especially in your experience.
Absolutely. When I think about collaboration, I think about being intentional, especially showing up in spaces or systems. I do a lot of work around health equity and racial equity nationally, and I am sitting at the table as a person with lived experience expertise. So, not as the medical professionals, not as
Mhm.
the healthcare systems employees, but as a person that experiences the good, bad, and the ugly of a healthcare system. And so,
Mhm.
we create ground rules with collaboration, meaning we all come to the table with our gift. Like we all are coming to this collaboration intentionally, and we are looking at a strategy that is going to build capacity not only for one of us but for all of us. And that
Yes.
begins with co-designing. Co-design shared solutions, co-designing shared outcomes, so that we all are eating at the table. We don't
Mhm.
have to go get mad, shut our seat down here and go try to build our own table, because we are losing that way, and they want us separated. They want us to not be intentional about collaborating. But with that does come some compromise in how you see things, and being open to hear and conceive how your partners and your community members see things, and then identify ways through design thinking or through engagement and communication to see what is it about this that I can contribute to, and what is it that I need. So one of the things I ask when I work with organizations like that is, you bring your offering, but and you bring a need, and we sit down and see if we have everything among us. Because I believe we do. With the abundance, everything we need is already inside of us, activated. We just need something to come click it or come link to it in a
Yes.
system collaboration to make it manifest.
Yes, and I love that. And I love how there's an order. Like, so there's a system to the collaboration. And I think that was the thing that I was doing wrong in the beginning. I didn't have the system. I had the hippie. I had the the love, the vision, but I
Yes.
did it right. I was like, "Oh, I just want to work with people and I know we can do it, right?" But I didn't have the system. And so that is the key component of the collaboration. And I believe writing things
Hmm.
out is essential to that system, essential to the success of that collaboration. Now I have long term collaborations with several different people as a result of the system. And
I
so
love
thank
it.
you for speaking to that. Now, in the Black Girl Magic Market, um you guys are doing some collaboration over there, obviously, but I want to speak to collaboration with your partner, your husband. I want to speak to that for just a second, because a lot of times husbands and wives have they say, I'm not going to work with, I cannot work with my spouse, I cannot do that, we got to have our separation, right? So how are you all managing and maintaining that in your business in order to create an amazing collaboration to fuel one another?
I believe it contributed with us being intentional of being friends first.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so before there was an intimacy of intimate relations, we built the capacity of friendship, and we had shared goals as friends.
Yeah.
So we both valued community. He brought the entrepreneurship, I was the social justice. So we
Mhm.
had these things that were complementary to one another. We had the same goals, see our people better, but we
Mhm.
had different strategies. So collaborating in how we strategize was very important to us. And then as we were building and found that we wanted this opportunity to build business together, that even still came before our commitment to want to be in a relationship, because we
Mhm.
saw the calling that was much more greater than our I hate to say this, our selfish desire to want a man or a woman, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We were both individually and independently grounded in ourselves, that we were whole individually.
Mhm.
We intentionally chose a partnership in collaborating and complementing one another. And
Mhm.
so that's what's been easy to continue to work with him, is because I go to work with my friend. I go home with my friend, and my friend understands the crazy family life we have, juggling 6 children, 2 to 3 businesses, and advisor role, mentor role, community role,
Yeah.
all of those things. So having someone that is fully trusting, not insecure that they're going to lose their own identity,
Mhm.
but understands the power of what balance being fluid looks like from theory to practice has been so instrumental in how we keep our sanity, second to meditating together, because that
Yeah.
that is so important too.
Yeah, yeah, I love that you meditate together, and that's a significant component of the relationship. But I also love that you said you were friends first, so there's a level
Yeah.
of respect there. And I also
Mhm.
love that you mentioned social justice was your hat, entrepreneurship was his hat, and you were able to bridge those two together to create a great success formula for your family. So I want to talk about for your family and your business. So I want to talk about social justice and business for just a second. Now, in all of our businesses, one of the things that people do not sit down and do is really go into core values. They go into the executive summary, all the different things. What's the money we want to make? What's the goal? What's the why? What's the strategy, the plan, how long, all these different steps that, we could break down. But one of the other things, one of the main things that people do not, especially small business owners, sit down and talk about is core values. And you've mentioned social justice a few times. Now, if you could tell us, how are you? And I mean, it's pretty obvious. However, I want you to break it down because it's beyond just Black women. Right. And so I know that. And I would like for you to share, how are you merging your social justice work and leadership with your business and doing that boldly?
Thank you for lifting it up, and it flows together because I live out the scripture to speak up for those that can't speak for themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
part of that in advocacy, especially for justice and equity, I'm in a position or posture very often that I'm speaking for those that can't speak for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I didn't want to stop there by believing that no one can speak for themselves. No, if you go a little bit deeper, it's just a translation issue. They've been speaking for themselves for a long time, but
Yeah.
there's just a translation issue or a barrier that people aren't choosing to go beyond and move past that stuckness. So when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to social justice, when for me, economic equity, gender equity, and racial equity all come in alignment with the civic engagement work under the umbrella of Black Girl Magic Market, which doesn't stop at pop-ups and even resources. I'm looking at policy level change. So I sit on a lot of seats nationally advocating for equitable economics that
Mm-hmm.
has the voice of people like me that are small business owners that are navigating it. What does these policy changes do for us, not only at the federal level, but how can we get involved as small business owners in our community to let our elected officials know that we're present? So that came with business inclusion initiatives under I Am Brilliant, that we work with municipalities to help them better meaningfully engage with their citizens in their city around equitable budgeting and
Mm-hmm.
giving input, which is something that's legislatively charged. I'm pretty sure a lot of our 100 counties may not necessarily be following that statute that says that the community should be included in that process.
Mm-hmm.
So I hold that light of accountability, not only for organizations and institutions, but create that pathway for community leaders to see themselves in that way. It also showed up in the work in Getting Behind the Crown campaign, which is about ending racism, ending discrimination, and ending injustice around the globe.
Mm-hmm.
And that came in the form of backing the protective measures to end racial discrimination, not only in the Crown Act, and getting behind that at the national level as well as here at the state level, but finding ways that people, everyday people like me and you, could start with a resolution in our community to change a policy to make things more equitable for us. After
Mm-hmm.
that resolution, and what's next? And let's look at some language that will be equitable that people may need. We can't just go tell elected officials to change and they don't have the tools, they're not going to do anything. But if you can come with a paragraph that makes something more equitable that you see as what's possible and give them something to work with, the outcomes are more probable for that to be something they think about when they're thinking about how they can show up and make sure your voice is heard.
Yeah. And do you believe that business owners need to step up even more? Yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
We
would agree
have
with
to
that.
show up and we
Mhm.
can't be too busy for that. Like those are one of the things. If you want your business to stay open, then you have to commit. Whether if you want to pay someone to go to these meetings on your behalf and take notes, do that. But they need to hear we are constituents that have appointed representatives that are speaking and making actions on our behalf. And most often in the legislative meetings that I've had, they'll say, "Well, we don't hear from this group, or we don't hear much from you all, so we haven't considered it in the past."
Mhm.
So if we don't show up and say, "Hey, I'm here, and this is what I'm struggling with, and these are my expectations tied to my vote that I want you to show up with," then they continue to perpetuate adhering to the system that exists currently, and then we're left out struggling, looking for the crumbs that comes down from the federal level when they prioritize giving us something that we've had access to the whole time.
Yeah, and I think so many people don't realize how significant the vote is and how significant our voices are. And that's one of the reasons too that I know that collaboration is significant, because something that I may
Mhm.
not know, I could sit in a room just like this conversation here. Um, there's somebody watching that is now having a moment, or will in the replay, that says, "Oh wow, this is why I need to vote. This is why I need to make
Yes.
sure that my business has core values that I stand behind, that people know about." One of the things that's important for me, and you mentioned it earlier as well, is to talk about my beliefs in my business. That's one of my core values, and it's not going anywhere. And so walking in my authentic self is showing up in that way. And so I think it's important to why it's so important to collaborate is to have these conversations and to educate one another. And we have to be honeable and coachable so that we can all learn and we can all grow. And so one of the things that I want to be sure to do as the hour approaches is to see, look, I know you always have things going on that are good, that are positive, that are feeding the community. And so I would like to give you the floor to share anything that we can tap into or plug into that you all have going on in either I Am Brilliant, Black Girl Magic Market, Shemekka Ebony, whatever platform.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. This has been amazing. I can't believe an hour has gone
I
by
know,
already.
I know.
But I'll be brief, just doing a rundown. So, Global
Mhm.
Entrepreneurship Week is coming up the week of November 14th through the 20th. We're
Okay.
going to be in Winston-Salem the 14th to 15th with the NC Idea Entrepreneur Ecosystem Summit. So, anyone that you know in the area, anywhere in the state that wants to plug in and see what this ecosystem looks like for you and what's possible, what's available, what organizations are with you and for you, definitely come and check that out in Winston-Salem. And we'll be closing Global Entrepreneurship Week in Eastern North Carolina because we have a special heart and priority for Eastern North Carolina, especially with me being from Kinston. But we're going to be in Rocky Mount. We're going to be in Rocky Mount November 20th. We're having a Make More Money Mastermind and Marketplace there from 12 to 5 at, there is a co-working space called the Rec Room there, and that is led by Tierra Norwood, a uh, Black woman owned business and organizer. I love working with Black women literally
Mhm.
from theory to practice. So I'm very intentional in how I collaborate, especially when there's opportunities like this. So we'll be in Rocky Mount. This marketplace, Make More Money, is really going to be talking about what it takes to make more money. So whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're working in a factory, whether you're working in an office, whether you're working in a healthcare system and you want to make more money, then this is an
Mhm.
event you want to come to because we're going to give pathways and ways for you to intentionally make more money. And that is going to be led by Michael Stewart Isaacs, with
Mhm.
who's the co-founder of I Am Brilliant and Hip Hop Wall Street. He's going to be leading the teaching that day. And Black Girl Magic Market is coming into the space, partnering with service providing organizations, so that if you are a business owner and you need something with your business, whether you need website development, you need social media content development, you need a virtual assistant. I'm looking for service providers to amplify. Whether you're in Eastern North Carolina, you're statewide, and you want to connect, definitely reach us at shemekkaebony.com and let me know if you want to be a vendor or buy your ticket to pursue your access, all day access. We're going to teach the vendors as well as the general public because we don't want them to just come there and work. We want you to be fed. We want you to get this make more money mentality, whether it's through vendor sales, intentional networking. We want it to be for everyone that is really about making more money.
Yeah, I love
Oh,
it.
I
I
have
love
two more things. So
Mhm.
we have the community champion certified is going to be doing a leadership session. So we're going to have a leadership cohort, and we're going to have a bag, business accountability group. Both of those cohorts start in December. We're going to start in December and go through the first quarter. So that is going to be that strategic planning, not only including leadership development, but also focusing on how you are showing up personally, making sure we deal with this mindset, self care, well being, balance before we interject into pouring into our business. We want to get ourselves recharged and
Absolutely.
rejuvenated going into 2023.
Absolutely. And so if they follow you at Shemekka Ebony, then they'll be able to tap into all of those
Yes.
resources, those workshops and information as well. So you guys want to follow Shemekka, I recommend it. I mean, I'm saying you heard it here. I'm saying. So I'm excited for what you have ahead. And why am I so excited? Because if anybody is listening, if anybody is feeling the vibes, like then you understand. So I love education. You understand that this is a resource for education. And for those of you who are seeking, if you're ready, the saying goes, the student is ready, the teacher appears. If you're ready, the teacher has just appeared by way of Shemekka Ebony. And so this what you all you need to do is just go follow, and you have amazing access to some powerful and dynamic resources that start with her, but then as we've been talking about, it broadens from there to the octopi of connections that are within her
Building an
reach.
enterprise over here.
Right, building an enterprise, right? So this has been powerful, dynamic, and exciting. I want to share with you all that next week we will have another amazing guest, but it's going to be a couple who is going to speak with us about success strategies in their businesses. The husband was able to retire, the husband and the wife, like age before the age of 40 or right at 40. So I'm really excited about that. We have had some amazing guests, and today has been no different. Shemekka has
Yeah.
provided great value. So if you think the same, please share this broadcast with someone else,
Oh,
especially another entrepreneur, so that they can get some nuggets, so that they can get connected to her and gain some value from this podcast, as well as the resources that we try to provide. That's the whole point of Coffee and Collaborations Media, as well as the Collaboration Culture podcast resource sharing. And so I want to share another resource. I got the right flyer this week, y'all. The
yes,
Debt Detox
yes.
Win Shop. We're going to be starting November 7th to December the 19th. We're going to go every 2 weeks this time because of my schedule and your schedules. So we're going to meet every 2 weeks over 4 weeks. And so, I mean, over 4 sessions, I'm sorry. And so it comes with the debt detox book and notebook. We're going to be talking about budgeting, emergency fund versus savings, some credit basics, so you can be empowered yourself and you don't have to keep every year getting a new credit repair specialist. The winning financial mindset, we're going to go through that, and then accountability. So we're going to tap into why is it you make the decisions that you make financially, and how you can overcome some of the hurdles that continue to keep you held back. And so if you are interested in that, I am the facilitator. You can go to bit.ly/ she wins 2022. That's going to be the last win shop for the year, the debt detox win shop. All of my, I don't say workshop, I say win shop. Y'all know why? Because we're
Yes.
born to win. That's my hashtag, that's my brand. So if anybody you know is interested in finishing out the fourth quarter strong, please give them the information for the debt detox win shop. Have them to reach out to me. All of that for only $119 as a
Yeah.
Christmas value is going to be, yeah, it's worth way more than that. So I would love to have you in my win shop. And then now you can be set up strong for 2023. I want to invite people to bring their children and their families into saving, into budgeting, into family planning. And so I'm going to tell you how you can do that, as well as be an advocate for yourself against the cable, utility, credit card, all these different things that we don't know, that we can be a voice for ourselves in order to set ourselves up in a stronger way when it comes to budgeting and preparing and planning. So we're talking about all that and some. So I would love to have you
I
to
want to
join
say
us. Hmm.
to your audience, anyone is thinking, "Oh, I don't know if I want to, if I can afford to pay it." Situations like that, you can not afford to. And if you are a
Yeah,
legit established business owner, this is a write-off. We can't keep thinking our business expenses are the same as our personal expenses. So this kind of
absolutely.
investment is learning. So I want to amplify that. Don't talk yourself out of something that you need based on you not having an abundance mindset, not only for your personal finances, but your business finances as well.
Absolutely. Such a great point. Such a great point. That's one of the other things we talk about too. Tax write offs and how the difference between personal and business and how to maneuver through that. So, I am so excited for the rest of this fourth quarter, what's going to take place, what's going to blow up. And so, if you're excited, stay connected to the Collaboration Culture podcast. If you would like to become a
Yeah.
sponsor of any of our shows, get shouted out or any of our shows, you can connect with us. Go to info at coffeeandcollaborations.com and reach out to me. Ask me, hey, how can, or my team, how can I be a part of the show? How can you either live line or do a commercial or share my business? I would love to be able to highlight some entrepreneurs as well as in the magazine that's forthcoming and the social media group, the Collaboration Culture. So 2023, we are preparing now for a powerful 2023 year of collaboration. And as we close out, I
Yeah.
would be remiss, thank you, if I didn't shout out our production team, our media team, and our graphic design team, especially Elton Benjamin of Industry Image, and all that you do to make us look good, feel good, be great. So, with that being said, we are going to close out this episode of the Collaboration Culture Podcast. You all have a great rest of your Tuesday. And thank you, Shemekka, once again.
Pleasure. Peace and blessings.
Bye bye.